Welcome to Plans Are Booked, a podcast for every reader. I'm Molly Geller.
And I'm Caitlin Madison. Welcome to episode 107. I'm sitting here in my house. It's snowing.
It's snowing.
They said, they, with a capital T, that's how I feel about the weather people. They said I was going to get an inch total over the next 24 hours. I just took Connell out for a walk and there's already an inch on the ground. So they've already duffed up. They're already on the shit list. And I'm going to a first birthday party today. And I just want to give a shout out to my friend Karen because she went out in her yard. It's a sledding pizza party for a 1-year-old.
Cute!
With hot cocoa. And because a lot of the kids that are coming are around the age like 4, 5, 6. So it was like a good idea to have an activity. She told me last night that I should pack my snow pants because she called it a luge course in her yard. They have a big yard. And she said it only has quote unquote 2 turns. 2 turns. She made a sledding course in her yard for this.
That's
She's like
awesome.
She also said she built a mound so that it's like a starter. Like she's got the Olympics going on in her yard essentially. So now that there's this like dusting of snow happening, that's like soap on a slip and slide if you want to go sledding. So I think it's going to be pretty lit. I think we're going to see some kids get some air. I'm not going to lie about it.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm like dying. I was like, and she's an engineer, so I'm like, of course this thing's going to be 10 out of 10. So I'm excited about that. I think the kids are going to be like really excited about it because they like got their own little personal course. Hopefully we don't freeze our butts off, but we probably will. It is what it is. But then my other concern is I'm going to the Celtics game tomorrow and I'm like, okay, so I'm supposed to go to boxing and then the Celtics game, and the Celtics game is at 12:30. My brother and I are trying to like snag a little lunch before we go in. And I'm like, if I have to snow blow tomorrow before this Celtics game, I'm probably going to have to forego boxing, which I don't really want to do. So I just needed the weather people to be right, is essentially what I'm trying to say. I really needed them to like nail this one. Now it's snowing really hard. Wow. Okay. Also, I just need Mother Nature to chill a little bit. I'm flying to Florida on Friday. I know you've got some flights coming up. I need it to chill out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I just need to be able to get to the things that I have planned, because here's the thing. If I don't get to go to the things that I have planned, I'm really going to lose it because this has been a relentless winter. If it hasn't been snowing, it's been single digits. And even though I'm a masshole, I got to tell you, it's been 4 or 5 years since we've had a doozy, and this one's been a doozy. Like the wind chills and the feels like temp, and it's just like every day there's been something. I'm feeling a little tired of it right now.
Yeah, I will say relentless is a good word because the snow from the giant snowstorm never melted. Anything else that we get is on top of what is already a nuisance. And for me, I don't have a snowblower. My walkway and driveway is really not big enough to require it. So I'm doing shoveling like with my body strength every single time. And I keep trying to widen the opening at the end of my driveway.
Yep.
Because after the initial storm, I did just enough for my car to fit through like a puzzle piece, like a hair could fit between the side of the car and the snowbank. And yesterday morning, when it was a balmy 23, I was like, you know what, let me try to do a little more. And I did, and I widened it pretty significantly. So now that's making coming and going feeling just a bit easier. But this is definitely the most rescheduling of plans, canceling of plans, closing of businesses, canceling of flights. It has been really stressful to try to adapt with all of the crazy winter stuff going on. And it's even, in some instances, I haven't been driving certain places where I know that the street parking has vanished because of the snowbanks.
Yep.
So I'm either taking Ubers or I'm having somebody else pick me up, and we're like splitting the cost of a garage. Places that I normally would be happy to circle for, 10, 15 minutes to find a street spot I'm just not even doing that
Right.
because it's too challenging to figure out how to put your car somewhere where it's not going to be in the middle of the street. And I think for people who listen and live in warmer climates who can't quite imagine what we're talking about, it really is impacting every decision when you leave the house, including like I've been wearing my
Giving
snow
yourself
boots.
extra time, bringing
I've
different
been
shoes.
wearing my snow boots, it feels like, for 3 weeks straight, like no other footwear at all, no matter whether I'm going to a work event or to meet friends or whatever, even dressier occasions where I'm like, I don't really have a choice here unless I bring my boots in like a tote bag and I
Right.
switch into something else when I get there.
Right.
So it's not just that it's cold out, or it's not just that there's still giant snowbanks everywhere. It's actually changing daily decision making in a way that's really tough. So I do this video series with one of my clients, Chef T. He's a pastry chef, and we do this video series called The Dessert Detective, where we go all over Greater Boston and we check out places with great pastry menus, dessert menus, etc. And we were gonna go to this place in Harvard Square called Asaro Bakery. It's in the space that used to be Darwin's, for people who know that area.
Oh, yes.
And normally I would go and just find a street spot on Cambridge Street, no problem. But I had driven on that road already earlier in the week and I was like, oh, hell to the no. So I took an Uber, and I'd been wanting to go to this place since November when I started seeing their Instagram content. And then they made incredible looking soufganiot Hanukkah donuts. And they were in all these fun flavors. And I'm like, I got to get there. I got to get there. So I got there
Can you
first.
spell that for me in Hebrew, what you just said?
Soufganiot?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying because that's how I picture words in my head, and I don't even know.
SUFGAN, usually IYOT.
Okay, all right, just for my own. I was curious.
Yes, the phonetic spelling's quite bizarre. So I was really excited to get there. When we go on these morning bakery runs, I usually get some kind of a beverage to go with my pastries, and I decided to get the iced mocha. I don't want to be hyperbolic, but I think this is the best iced mocha I've ever had. It tasted so chocolatey, which is what I want. I want it to taste chocolate forward, and then like the coffee is like the finishing note.
Yep.
And it had a great little like foam on the top and a sprinkling of cocoa powder.
Well done.
When I got to the bottom of this drink, I honest to God almost ordered a second one, which I never do.
To go.
Like,
just get it to go. Why
just
not?
it was so delicious. I couldn't stand it. And T got a hot chocolate that was, beautifully done with the latte art on the top. And we ordered so many different pastries and desserts. But the thing that I feel everyone must experience, they have a shakshuka Danish, in which it's like the pastry shell that you would normally get, like a cheese Danish or a raspberry Danish. And in the center, they have tomato jam, the sunny side up egg, fresh herbs, and feta cheese.
Okay, what is the name of this place again? I'm gonna
Asaro
literally. I have my
Bakery.
phone out, and I need to follow them on Instagram.
Yes, it's Asaro Bakery in Cambridge. The shakshuka Danish was a true revelation. And I also usually get an almond croissant any place we go that makes one. That's kind of my, some people order like a margarita pizza as a like litmus test for savory restaurants. That's how I
Yes.
feel about the almond croissant at bakeries. This almond croissant not only had so many slivered almonds and powdered sugar on the outside, but the inside, which usually is at most places, the inside of a flavored croissant, whether it's chocolate, almond, whatever, is negligible. It's like they put a little something in there, but you're mostly tasting the laminated dough. The ratio of this croissant was probably 60% pastry. 40,
I just pulled up your video of it.
oh yeah,
I'm looking at it.
40% like almond cream in the inside, and it tasted so delicious and saturated, nutty flavor. I think I am going to become a regular at this place.
How do you spell it? I can't find it.
Asaro. Asaro. Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm on it. I'm in it. Oh, Toro follows them? Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fantastic. And
And Love Struck Books and tea. Yep.
yes. Yes. And if you're going to be in Harvard Square anyway, whether you're going to a bookstore or an event, or it's steps from Harvard Yard. So if you find yourself there for a special event or you're on a college tour with
Oh my
someone,
gosh,
it's so close.
I was just there last night.
Yes.
Should we get into our book?
We should. So today we're talking about Heart the Lover by Lily King.
Which you've probably seen because it has such a striking cover.
Striking
That
cover.
why wouldn't you put that on an end cap, you know?
Yes. Yes. Lily King is originally from Massachusetts. She now lives in Portland, Maine. I learned of her in the summer of 2020 when her previous book came out called Writers and Lovers. Several friends recommended it to me, including a friend who worked for BookBub, whose recommendations I always trust. And I tore through it. I smashed that 5 stars immediately. It's about a young woman named Casey. And in it, I mentioned this on a previous pod episode when this was my currently reading book, but Casey works at a restaurant that's based off of Upstairs on the Square, which was a very beloved place in Cambridge for a long time. So when I learned she was coming out with something new, I knew I was going to read it no matter what the subject matter was. I find Lily King's superpower is describing the 20s time of life where you are wanting to be an independent adult, but you still have so much to learn. You're making tons of mistakes. You're open-hearted to people that you shouldn't be. You're free-spirited in a way that now in our 40s, we probably couldn't really imagine making decisions that way. But she also has an incredible gift for describing really raw, deep emotions. And I think when we say that on this podcast about authors, which we have about, for example, like Claire Leslie Hall of Broken Country is another one that feels similar to me. We're not just saying like, oh, they're good with words. This is like, you feel this in your full body when you are reading these things as if it is happening to you. And when I posted a photo of this book cover when I purchased it, I got a flood of DMs from men and women who read this book. And they all said things like, this broke me. I cried for days. I couldn't stop talking about this to anybody who would listen to me. This book is quite short. It's under 300 pages. And it packs such a huge emotional punch.
I don't even know where to begin. So this is my first Lily King book. I did not read Writers and Lovers, but I bought it immediately because obviously I had forgotten Lily King has a book called Euphoria years ago. I mean, I don't even know how many years. It came out a long time ago. I saw it at the library and I was like, the cover is so striking. It's like a painting and it's got very vibrant, like jewel tone colors on it. And I hadn't heard of her and I was like, I'm just going to give this book a shot. And I think I read 40 or 50 pages and I was like, this book is not for me. Like it just didn't resonate with me, didn't really like it, whatever. This is so far from that it took me, I recommended this book to Julie and she was like, oh, am I going to like it? Because I hated Euphoria. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think of them as the same person because it was just, so she figured out the magic sauce, it sounds like, with Writers and Lovers, and now we have Heart the Lover. And what a gem of a book. Her writing makes you do some work. And I don't mean that the vocab is like out of control or that it's like hard to comprehend or any of those things. What I mean is she gives you enough to figure out the rest. You have to imply some things. And that allows her to write a book that's under 300 pages. And it also makes you feel like she's trusting you to read between the lines and figure it out. She's not going to give you every minute detail of like what these people look like or what their favorite food is. Like there's not a deep dive into them as individuals. It's all about the relationships that they're having while they're at college and how they build and how they impact them later in life. And I feel like that is such a talent. It is so hard to write less and still have it be really good. I think I've said this before, but I had a professor at Wheaton, and for the entire semester, he assigned 2-page papers double spaced, We read a book a week in that class. We wrote a paper on every single book. And he said, I don't want to read more than 2 pages. And the question that I'm posing to you about this book, you should be able to get it done in 2 pages. And if you can't, that's what we're going to work on in this class. And he was all about concise writing and making your point and no fluff. And I learned so much in that class that I then signed up for everything else that I could. And he ended up being my mentor. I went on a school trip to South Africa with him. I just was like, this guy gets it. And so for the last 20 years of my life, I've really valued concise writing, and every word, every sentence packs a punch in this book. And you're following what you are led to believe is a love triangle, right? So this woman who gets nicknamed Jordan, and that's what you think her name is basically for the entire book. Jordan is an English major, and she considers herself to be like pretty average. And she ends up being in this class where there are 2 boys who kind of seem like they're TAs maybe, who are like in the advanced thesis senior project, like they're the teacher's pets in like every English class in the department. Sam is, in my mind, gangly, unsure of himself, apart from academics. You know what I mean? Like his one thing he has going for him is that he's really well read. And other than that, I think that's his only area of like feeling any kind of superiority over people. And as a result, that's like pretty much all he wants to talk about. Like he's very nerdy. And then he has this best friend, Yash, who has like long dark hair and is half Indian and like seems a little more, not necessarily eccentric, but definitely like more outgoing, and more charming. Like he definitely has like, they're kind of like an odd couple, right? Like the nerd, like they're both English majors, but one's a hyper nerd and one seems like a man about town a little bit. And our narrator, our main character, Jordan, writes a story that catches their attention, and she has to print it on orange printer paper, hence the cover of the book. And they both think that she's quite funny, and they're both like, who's this girl? Like, why haven't we seen her in other classes before? And so Sam makes a move and they end up dating. And then, as you can imagine, Yash comes into play later. And I'm not going to really get into the details of that because you should just read the book. And they just have this like funny dynamic where like she's so charmed by Yash and he's always around. And then she's dating Sam, who's like a little bit more difficult to figure out. He's way more insular. And you're kind of like the whole time, like, I mean, Yash makes more sense for Jordan. Like, I don't really understand why. And it's just like Sam made the move, right? Like that's pretty much like what it comes down to. What is fascinating to me about this book is the time jumps that came out of nowhere. There's a part 1, a part 2, and a part 3, and they all take place in very different timelines. And let me tell you, when part 1 ended and part 2 jumped to like 20 years later, I was like, I thought I had whiplash. I was like, what in the what? You're so embedded in their senior year of college that you're like, what do you mean we're leaving college? Like this book's only like it's not even 300 pages long. Like we can't leave. Like we just got started there. Like what are we? And then I got like 5 pages into part 2 and I was like, God, she's so good at this. Like this is so hard to pull off. I can't believe I'm still invested in whoever this girl is 20. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know her. I knew the 22-year-old Jordan. I don't know 42-year-old Jordan. And within a few pages, I'm like, maybe I do know her. And like, oh, look at this life that she's built. And like, is this what I would have predicted if I had known that it was going to jump this way? And like, it was just chef's kiss. It was so good. It was just so good. Do you want to share some of your tagged pages?
Yes.
And I might share a couple too, because this is a tricky book to talk about without giving away too much. And
here's what I'm going to say. Listener, if you are interested in this book and you don't want any spoilers, I encourage you to just seek ahead right now. I'm actually going to stop saying anything more about the plot for a couple seconds to let you seek ahead. I'm going to read a couple of passages which all contain spoilers. For those who have read the book, I think you'll be thrilled if these were also some of your favorite parts or parts that made you cry. If you haven't read the book and you don't want to know anything, please seek ahead. Okay? That's your warning. Please, please, please seek ahead. So Jordan eventually does have a relationship with Yash, and it becomes something that's really meaningful to both of them. And they are on a adventure together. And I'm just going to start. This is the top of page 119. The sun dries my skin. It feels polished and alive. He comes out of the water and stands beside me. He takes my hand and I feel relieved. I press my lips to his neck and hold him close, and more water from his hair drips down my back and shoulders, and my skin tightens as it evaporates. I tell him I love him with my whole heart. I look up at him and his mouth is twisted. What's the matter? He doesn't answer. You okay? He shakes his head. It just hurts a little to feel this good. I mean,
Yeah. It's what all the gals dream of, you know?
it's what all the gals dream of. And then later on, she's in a setting with Yash and his family. And it says, Yash's mother gets up and leaves without answering her Aunt Mo, who turns her attention to me. He waited too long, didn't he? For someone so smart, he could be awfully dumb, couldn't he? I set him up with a girl once, Bean says. Never again. She called me up the next day and said, who the fuck is Jordan? Which I just loved. Like, she's embedded.
She's the one that got away.
She's embedded in his brain. And okay, now I'm going mega.
Can I insert one of mine because it goes well with the theme of what you said? Okay, so much earlier in the book, page 45, okay? Jordan and Yash end up having a meal together, sans Sam, and this is when she's with Sam. We take a few bites and compliment each other on our parts of the meal that we made. Then we eat quietly. It isn't the kind of silence Sam and I have, where each of us will say something if we can think of it. With Yash, I can say anything and it will turn into a conversation. We could talk about the green napkins, where he'd found them, what they remind us of, who ironed them, for a half an hour. But I want to make it count. I missed him during those 11 days. I thought we couldn't be friends anymore. I can't say that, but it's all heavy in my mind. We have less than a half hour before Sam comes back. We need to talk about something big, something that will secure our friendship forever. It's a lot of pressure to put on 25 minutes on a Sunday morning. I glance over at him when he's putting both eggs and potato on his fork with a knife. He eats in that British way his father must have taught him, the knife so active, not just for cutting. He has a very small smile on his face, as if he doesn't notice we're not talking, or as if we are. Small moments with somebody that's not your boyfriend. And I loved, with a capital L, this idea of we need to lock in on some big topic so that he and I are friends forever, even if Sam and I don't work out. I just absolutely loved the idea of like a 22-year-old being like, we haven't ever talked about anything meaningful. And if we do right now, then we're friends forever. Like, what
Totally.
a 22-year-old thing to think. You know what I mean? Like, and also, like, it's hard for me as an almost 41-year-old to think about a friendship where I don't talk about meaningful things. Like, all of the people that I don't talk to anything about meaningful, I don't even consider them friends. But when you're 22, it's like that you're working on your elite group that gets those things, you know, like it hasn't completely been culled yet. So I loved that. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought it went well with
that was
yours.
great. That was great. And also you made me think of another thing I wanted to say before I read that other passage, which is Lily King does such an exceptional job of describing the college years and the post-college years, where basically everyone's apartment is a revolving door of people. There's just constantly friends coming and going, boyfriends, girlfriends, one night stands, and there's so many smells and noises and sounds in all of these houses because they're full of people all the time. And that is such a specific time of life. And she just gets the snapshot on it in a way that feels deeply relatable, deeply accurate. And when Jordan is in the house with Sam, you kind of get one perspective. Then later on, when she's in the house with Yash, you get a different perspective. And then at one point, she goes back to what was her old apartment, where she's basically in one room where she hardly ever leaves. There are just a lot of descriptors of this chapter of life that felt spot on to me. And that's not that easy to achieve, to toss somebody back to that period of their life. And I think she does it expertly. And this last bit I wanted to read, and this is a mega spoiler, so please, I beg of you, if you don't want to know, go all the way ahead. I couldn't not read this because I'm at a time in my life over the last couple of years where I've experienced a ton of loss, just a ton of people passing away. And I often have found myself traveling toward a funeral service, a Shiva at someone's house, whatever the case may be. So again, I'm begging you, please seek ahead if you don't want to know what's going to happen. I thought it would feel better away from the hospital and at the airport, but it feels much worse. It's loud and crowded and no one here knows. I punch keys at the kiosk, getting my boarding pass, and move unsteadily to security. I take off my shoes, lift my arms over my head in the body scanner. I try to regroup in the bathroom. It takes me a long time to fit my suitcase in the stall with me. It's nighttime and I don't remember eating today. I don't look in the mirror while I wash my hands. The central walkway is busy. I've already misplaced my boarding pass. I don't know the gate. I need to find a departure screen. I won't ever see you again. Where will you go? What will you be? This is so real. The fog that takes you over when you are about to lose or have just lost someone and need to do mundane shit. This was so piercing to me. I could have written that easily. And I think she is, I'm guessing, drawing upon real life experience of attempting to move through these moments that for someone who's just at the airport because they're going on a girls trip or they're going on a vacation, you know, you can be seated next to people who are joyful and giddy and excited.
Doesn't she have a line that's something like, how is everybody acting normally? Oh,
yes.
right. They don't know. They don't know that you're gone. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
cut me.
Piercing is a good word for that. Okay, so mine is, I would say, not spoilery. This is another conversation between Jordan and Yash. And I feel like it shows the kind of, like in the earlier quote, she's talking about how she wants their friendship to be solidified so that if she and Sam don't work out, it'll still be okay. This is, they're now in a moment where like they are having those conversations, like they're locked in, like they're going to be in each other's lives. So Yash says, we're not exactly improving as a species. Yes, we are. He laughs. No, we're not. How can you say that? All of literature rests on the promise that we change, we grow, have epiphanies, become better, understand our flaws. Too late. Have you ever noticed that? It's always too late. We've gotten better ethically, morally. We haven't. Human behavior doesn't change. He is so certain of this. I insist it does and give the obvious examples of the spread of democracy, the abolition of slavery, increasing religious tolerance, women's rights. He counters with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Gulag, Vietnam. More people have been killed in this century in wars and by their own government than in all previous centuries combined. If killing another person is any measurement of ethical behavior, he says, we are worsening. I argue that it's the technology of war that's changed, and the majority of people have a wider sense of fairness and a belief in freedoms. And perhaps these wars are more ethical than the ones in the past that were for land. I could go on because this conversation continues for a couple more pages, but like these are the types of conversations that they have. And because I was an English major, I just feel like literature really lends itself well to you having these kinds of conversations, because some people might read this and be like, when I was in college, my friends and I were not talking about shit like that. But like for English majors and for like people that actually are thinking about the world critically, I was having those conversations. And sometimes I think that disagreeing with people when I was that age taught me more than a lot of the classes that I took. but I probably wouldn't have had those opinions or those conversations if I hadn't been reading the books that college was making me read. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I
can't wait to read the next one.
it's so good. I also want to say, in case people are wondering, what does Heart the Lover mean?
Oh,
Heart.
yes.
So Heart the Lover is a character inside of a card game that they play. And what I thought was so beautiful is that when the time jump happens and you meet Jordan in the far future, she has children and her children know how to play the game. And that moment was so small, but so cool to me that this game she used to play with Sam and Yash and their friends, that she brought that to her kids and that she's able to keep that memory from that happy time of her life in her present day reality, which we learn has a lot of challenges and complications. And it comes up again throughout the third section also. And I wish I could ask her, did the title come first? Did the idea flow out of her fingertips and then she thought, ooh, that should be the title? I always want to know the story behind the title.
I'm curious about that too, because if you go on her website, you can print out all of the rules to play the game. And she gives a shout out to the people that taught her that game because it's a real game that she plays with her family and her kids who are adult age. It's a game that was passed down from like an uncle to a cousin, and then the cousin taught her, like that kind of thing. Like, so it seems very much like in her family and her group of friends. And she makes it pretty clear that like she doesn't really know a lot of people, like she hasn't met other people that know this game. And so she thinks that these like older uncles like maybe might have made it up. And if you go on her website, not only can you print out all the rules, but she collaborated with an artist to make a deck of cards that go with the game. Because when you play the game, I forget exactly, but it's like you have to take the sixes, the sevens, and the eights out of a regular deck. And so she had them make a deck that depicts all the funny names of all the different families and then also doesn't have those extra cards that you don't need.
I did not know that, and I love that.
Yeah, but I still am curious about why she made that like why. I do wonder how much of this is like based on maybe some real events that happened in her life, because it just feels like now that I know that that card game was like passed down from like family friends and like they invented it and whatever, and she plays it with her family, I'm like, okay, then like that card game obviously has some like deep significance to her. So to insert it into a book like that, I think must be a hat tip to something. And I have to say, the very first page of this book hooked me. And I just want to read it because it sets the tone for the whole freaking book. And I'm so jealous that she set it up this way because I want to steal it. It's like so good. So the very first page of this book: you knew I'd write a book about you someday. You said once that I'd dredged up the whole hit parade minus you. I'll never know how you'd tell it. For me, it begins here, like this. Page 1. And that's all there is on that entire page. Page 1, I was like, I don't know what Molly just got me into, but I am all the way in. Like, all the way in. I don't think that this is a spoiler, but like, I just want to put it out there for people that want to read Writers and Lovers. There are characters from this book in Writers and Lovers, but it's a different timeline. And I'm not going to say which characters it is because I feel like, I just feel like I was kind of better off not knowing that. And Molly read Writers and Lovers first, but like 6 years ago. And when I told her, like, hey, this is the same character as in Heart the Lover, she was like, holy shit. Like,
I didn't even realize it.
but that's also how good she is. And she didn't advertise this as like a prequel or a sequel she advertised it as a standalone. So I just had no idea.
Yeah.
She seems like she's a very, very smart lady. And I'm glad that there are other books for me to read. But boy, Euphoria. Whoa. Don't you can skip that one. I'm positive of it. I'm sorry to say, but
I'm also keeping an eye on, she has been doing some book tour like events. Hasn't yet come to the New England area, but I'm keeping a close eye to see if she's going to do anything in the spring and the summer that we might be able to actually have the chance to hear from her or meet her in person, which would be wonderful. Anything more you wanted to say before we talk about what we're reading now?
I could go on for like 3 more hours, so we should probably just move on.
Okay. I have two things to share since I just finished something last night and then I started something this morning. I finally finished The Long Game.
Woot woot.
This is book 6.
I also finished it.
Of the Game Changers series, aka Heated Rivalry. We are going to do a dedicated part 2 episode on books 4, 5, and 6. So I won't say too much now because I have 6 post-its in this book. But what I do want to say is this. In my real life, in a mess of a lot of bad dates, reading this is so refreshing and hopeful and joyful. And if I could find someone who loved me 1/10 as much as Ilya Rozanov loves Shane Hollander, I would be a happy gal. I feel like their bond is so special. And the reason I say Ilya loves Shane, it's not that it's not mutual. Of course it is. I think the way the books are written, you see the way that Ilya is constantly trying to make space for however Shane needs to react to a situation. And that's why I'm saying it that way. I find him to be...
And thematically, this book is about the sacrifices that are made for each other and how some of them may feel a little bigger than others.
Yes, perfectly said. If you are considering reading these books and you've been on the fence, like you loved the show, but you're just not sure, I would recommend you read Heated Rivalry, which is book 2, and The Long Game, book 6, no matter what. Even if you don't want to read all the rest, read those 2. And then there's going to be a 7th book. It's called Unrivaled, which is coming out on my birthday, September 29th. I cannot wait. Like, I normally am not a person who wants to fast forward through time. I like it, trying to be present and enjoy every single day. I wish I could fast forward just to the moment where book 7 is available and we can keep going. And I posted on my personal Instagram when it was announced that that was the published date. And a friend DM'd me and said, should you have a birthday party at a bookstore? And now I can't unhear that. So that might be happening.
That sounds fabulous.
Agreed.
I mean, obviously, I would be there. I like that idea all around.
Yeah. And the other book I wanted to talk about, which I just started in my bed this morning, is Happy Place by Emily Henry. The reason that I bumped this up in the TBR, I've actually owned it for quite a while, is because there's a rumor that Hudson Williams, aka Shane Hollander from Heated Rivalry, is going to star as the male lead in the adaptation of Happy Place. So I wanted to get ahead of that and read it before it hits the screen.
I've never read an Emily Henry book, and I think I have 2 in my TBR. I don't know whether they're both mine. They could be anybody's, but
they're probably mine.
Them.
They're probably mine.
One is Beach Read, and then I don't know what the other one is.
So the 2 I've read are Beach Read and The People We Meet on Vacation.
I don't have that one.
Oh, so maybe you have Book Lovers?
Yes, and I think I bought that one, and then I think Beach Read is yours.
Okay. So I really enjoy Emily Henry. I find that as a romance writer, she is less about spice and more about banter, flirtation, longing.
So I should obviously hurry up and read some of these then.
And here's what I think we're all going to like about Happy Place. First of all, in the beginning, I'm only 25 pages in. In the beginning, the lead character is talking about her 2 best friends, who are the girls who were randomly assigned to her floor in college, which is also how I met the best friends from Wheaton in my life. Shout out Emily and Vanessa. We were assigned the same floor, Clark 4th, freshman year. Our rooms were all in a row, me and then Vanessa and then Emily. Totally random. And to this day, we're still best friends, text each other constantly all day, every day. So this is the kind of relationship that this main character, Harriet, has with her best friends. They have
I like that a lot.
Yeah. They have an annual tradition where they go to this girl, Sabrina's family's home in Maine. And they are arriving in their early 20s for the reunion weekend. And I am super excited because not this weekend, but next weekend, I am going on my annual winter pilgrimage to Maine with my high school friends, which I've been doing for like 12 or 13 years. We do a winter weekend and a summer weekend. I feel like this is like getting me in the Maine
Mm.
house headspace. So it's feeling very seasonal, a seasonal read. And tomorrow I'm getting on a plane from Boston to San Francisco. And I predict I will read this entire book on the plane, is my guess.
Incredible. Incredible. I listen, so I'm going to Florida on Friday for 6 days. I'm already sweating about what I'm going to pack for books.
Yeah.
I always like to pack a mystery. So I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before. I brought Verity by Colleen
Good
Hoover.
one.
And I hadn't really asked anybody about that book or done any of my own research about it. And then I posted the typical, so basic of me, but the pool, the toes with the pool in the background in your book. Everybody does it. I love it. More of that content, please. Um, and same reaction that you got. 12 people messaged me on Instagram like immediately, and they were like, the twists in that were crazy. What a great vacation book. Hope you didn't have any other plans. Like, you know, so now I just have this pressure that I'm like, God, I hope I pack something that's like, because when you're on the plane, you want to be. I think my ideal plane scenario is I am already 50 pages into something that I really like. And then that way you're
Agreed.
just like cruising on the plane. You never want to start something on the plane because then what if it sucks? You know what I mean?
Yes, you have to know that you want to keep reading it. Otherwise,
Correct.
rough
Correct. And
situation.
Molly, when I say I tried my hardest to save the long game for my plane ride,
Yeah.
I actually try. I was like, this is a slam dunk. I'll read it in one plane ride. I'll be so happy. Couldn't do it. Just did not have the willpower to wait until Friday. And I read it in 2 sittings. I did force myself to do two. I was like, Caitlin, you can't read this in one sitting because you're not getting anything until September.
Yeah.
And I just need everybody to know that me, Caitlin Madison, who doesn't binge watch television shows, who watches 1 or 2 episodes at a time, no matter what, because I like to make it last. I like to have something to look forward to. When I'm at work and I'm bored, I'm like, when I get home tonight after I make dinner and I take Connell out, I've got something lined up already, which is the best feeling. I didn't save it for myself. I'm shocked. I am shocked at myself that this happened to me.
It's
So
irresistible.
now,
It's
it is.
irresistible.
It's irresistible. They are irresistible. Shane and Elia are irresistible. That is it's the perfect word for them. Okay, I am reading a book. I'm trying to get through it before the TV show comes out. I'm reading Imperfect Women
Mm,
by Araminta Hall. I've
okay.
never heard of this author, but I saw the trailer for the show, which is produced by Elizabeth Moss. The star is showing. The show is starring. I need another coffee. The show is starring Elizabeth Moss, Kate Mara, and Kerry Washington, and they play 3 best friends. And in the trailer, you immediately find out that Kate Mara's character has been murdered. And the 2 friends are basically trying to piece together what the hell happened. And this isn't giving anything away because within the first 5 pages you find this out. Um, the Kate Mara character has been having an affair for over a year. And of the trio, only one of the best friends knew that. And the other best friend didn't know. And the husband has kind of suspected it, but like hadn't put it together. And so there's a lot of things at play here that you're like, who is it? Why would this happen? And then the friends are obviously like, did we even really know her? And then what I found very interesting is, and I'm only like 60 pages in, what I found very interesting was the best friend that knew about the affair is horrified at how little she inquired about the situation because now that her friend has turned up dead and murdered, she's like, I don't even know what the guy's last name was that she was having the
Mm.
affair with. So, like, what the hell kind of friend am I? And there's this like guilt that's going on, and this like, do we ever really truly know anybody, and all of this. Here's what I'm going to say about this that I'm a little disappointed about. The book takes place in England. Obviously, the show is not taking place in England, and all of the actresses in it are American. Now, we saw this with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. That book took place in Connecticut, but then the BBC got optioned it and made it into the TV show, so then they had it set in England. There's so many British things about this book that are happening just in the way that they talk to each other and react to things, and the flats that they live in and whatnot, what have you. They meet at Oxford. That's how they all become friends. So I'm going to be interested to see how they pivot all of those things into the TV show, which I believe comes out in April, maybe March. It might come out in March. I'm going to be interested to see if it like all works. But I've got to say, those are 3 powerhouse actresses. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, okay, like Kerry Washington, like obviously Elizabeth Moss is unbelievable. Now I could be pleasantly surprised and it takes place in England and they're all expats, but I really doubt that that's the situation. I also think what's going to be interesting about it is that police work and detective work function in a different way in England. Like it's not the same. And so I think that's going to be an interesting piece. But anyway, the writing in this is very good. This is not a typical, when I saw the trailer and then I bought the book, I was kind of getting Big Little Lies vibes. You know what I mean? And like for people that maybe didn't read the book, Big Little Lies, the show, is much more polished than Big Little Lies, the book, in my opinion. No hate on Liane Moriarty, but it was a good book and I was very entertained when I read it. But like, kind of a plain book, kind of a take it on a trip. You're going to be gripped, kind of. You know what I mean? It's my brother calls them blockbusters, books that feel like you're reading a movie script. So the writing isn't insanely amazing, but like the plot's really good.
Yep.
I would say Colleen Hoover is in that category. I would say Liane Moriarty is in that category. Like you want to know what happened, but like it's not a Lily King. Like we're not reading high-end literature here. And listen, there's a time and a place for both of those things. I enjoy both of those things. I pay money for both of those things. So like I'm not trying to like poo-poo or yuck anybody's yum, but like I'm just saying I went into this thinking I'm going to get Liane Moriarty level writing and then it's going to become a TV show and I'm going to be like pleased as punch with the show. And I was pleasantly surprised that the writing is crisp and it's good. And I like what I'm getting from this because it's a little more sophisticated than I thought it was going to be going into it. But that was because I watched the trailer. You know what I mean? The trailer like kind of mucked it up a little bit for me. So yes, I'm impressed with this so far.
That's awesome. I'm excited to read it. I think it sounds great. Listeners, if you want to follow along with all the books that we mentioned today, you can join us on Instagram. We are at Plans Are Booked. We share every single title we mention every episode. They're all saved to our highlights, so you can check out anything that struck your fancy. You can also write to us at plansarebooked@gmail.com if you want to share feedback or a book idea or something you'd like us to talk about. If you liked what you heard today, we would love if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps people find the show.
And until next time, our plans are booked.